Hi everyone, welcome back. This week we are going to continue in the book of Deuteronomy, and we're going to read chapters 20 through 24. Okay, let's get started. When you go out to war against your enemies, and you see horses and chariots and an army greater than your own, do not be afraid. Little pause. You'll notice the phrase "do not be afraid" happens a lot throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. So every time you hear that, notice it and remember how many times the Lord has told us, don't be afraid. Anyway, do not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, who brought you up from the land of Egypt, will be with you. When you are about to go into battle, the priest shall come forward and say to the soldiers, Hear, O Israel, today you are going into battle against your enemies. Be not weak-hearted or afraid, be neither alarmed nor frightened by them. For it is the Lord your God who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies and give you victory. Then the official shall say to the soldiers, Is there anyone who has built a new house and not yet had the housewarming? Let him return home, lest he die in battle and another dedicate it. Is there anyone who has planted a vineyard and never yet enjoyed its fruits? Let him return home, lest he die in battle and another enjoy its fruits in his stead. Is there anyone who has betrothed a woman and not yet taken her as his wife? Let him return home, lest he die in battle and another take her to wife. In fine, the officials say to the soldiers, Is there anyone who is afraid and weak-hearted? Let him return home, lest he make his fellows as faint-hearted as himself. When the officials have finished speaking to the soldiers, military officers shall be appointed over the army. When you march up to attack a city, first offer it terms of peace. If it agrees to your terms of peace and opens its gates to you, all the people to be found in it shall serve you in forced labor. But if it refuses to make peace with you and instead offers you battle, lay siege to it. Jumping to verse 19. When you are at war with a city and have to lay siege to it for a long time before you capture it, you shall not destroy its trees by putting an axe to them. You may eat their fruit, but you must not cut down the trees. After all, are the trees of the field men, that they should be included in your siege? However, those trees which you know are not fruit trees you may destroy, cutting them down to build siege works, with which to reduce the city that is resisting you. Chapter 21, just how to handle if there's, a murder victim found, what to do if after a battle you decide you want to take one of the captive women as your wife, rights of the firstborn. The eldest son gets the rights first. And chapter 22. You shall not see your kinsman's ox or sheep driven astray without showing concern about it. See to it that it is returned to your kinsman. If this kinsman does not live near you, or you do not know who he may be, take it to your own place and keep it with you until he claims it. Then give it back to him. You shall do the same with his donkey or his garment or anything else which your kinsman loses and you happen to find. You may not be unconcerned about them. You shall not see your kinsman's donkey or ox foundering on the road without showing concern upon it. See to it that you help him lift it up. A woman shall not wear an article proper to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's dress, for anyone who does such things is an abomination to the Lord your God. If while walking along you chance upon a bird's nest with young birds or eggs in it, in any tree or on the ground, and the mother bird is sitting on them, you shall not take away the mother bird along with her brood. You shall let her go, although you may take her brood away. It is thus that you shall have a prosperity and a long life. When you build a new house, put a parapet around the roof. Otherwise, if someone falls off, you will bring blood guilt upon your house. You shall not sow your vineyard with two different kinds of seed. If you do, its produce shall become forfeit, both the crop you have sown and the yield of the vineyard. You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. You shall not wear cloth of two different kinds of thread, wool and linen, woven together. You shall put twisted cords on the four corners of the cloak that you wrap around you. Okay. And then Jumping to chapter 23, starting with verse 4. No Ammonite or Moabite may ever be admitted into the community of the Lord, nor any descendants of theirs, even to the 10th generation, because they would not succor you with food and water on your journey after you left Egypt. And because Moab hired Balaam, son of Beor, from the Pethor and Aram Naharaim, to curse you, though the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam and turned his curse into a blessing for you, because he loves you. Never promote their peace and prosperity as long as you live. But do not abhor the Edomite, since he is your brother, nor the Egyptian, since you were an alien in his country. Children born to them may in the 3rd generation be admitted into the community of the Lord. This next section is really interesting. It's about cleanliness in camp. And it was so important to maintain hygiene that it made it into the Bible. I think that's really worth noticing as well. When you are in camp during an expedition against your enemies, you shall keep yourselves from everything offensive. If one of you becomes unclean because of a nocturnal emission, he shall go outside the camp and not return until toward evening. He has bathed in water. Then when the sun has set, he may come back into camp. Outside the camp, you shall have here we go. Outside the camp, you shall have a place set aside to be used as a latrine. That's like a restroom. You shall also keep a trowel, a small shovel, in your equipment, and with it, when you go outside to ease nature, you shall go to the bathroom. You shall first dig a hole, and afterward cover up your excrement, since the Lord your God journeys along within your camp to defend you and to put your enemies at your mercy. Your camp must be holy. Otherwise, if he sees anything indecent in your midst, he will leave your company. You shall not hand over to his master a slave who has taken refuge from him with you. Let him live with you wherever he chooses, in any one of your communities that pleases him. Do not molest him. And then jumping down to verse 22. When you make a vow, a promise, a vow to the Lord your God, you shall not delay in fulfilling it. Otherwise you will be held guilty, for the Lord your God is strict in requiring it of you. Should you refrain from making a vow, you will not be held guilty, but you must keep your solemn word and fulfill the votive offering you have freely promised to the Lord. When you go through your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat as many of his grapes as you wish, but do not put them in your basket. When you go through your neighbor's grain field, you may pluck some of the ears with your hand, but do not put a sickle to your neighbor's grain. It's saying if you're walking along, you can have a little bit, but don't take it with you. A sickle is a big tool they use to harvest large quantities of corn and such and grain. So you can pick a little bit with your hand, but don't harvest it. All right, chapter 24, starting with verse 5. When a man is newly married, he need not go out on a military expedition, nor shall any public duty be imposed on him. He shall be exempt for 1 year for the sake of his family, to bring joy to the wife he has married. Verse 10. When you make a loan of any kind to your neighbor, you shall not enter his house to receive a pledge from him, but shall wait outside until the man to whom you are making the loan brings his pledge outside to you. If he is a poor man, you shall not sleep in the mantle he gives as a pledge, but shall return it to him at sunset, that he himself may sleep in it. Then he will bless you, and it will be a good deed of yours before the Lord your God. You shall not defraud a poor and needy man and needy hired servant, whether he be one of your own countrymen or one of the aliens. Again, alien in this context, it's somebody who is from a different part of the world. They're from a different country. Or one of the aliens who live in your communities. You shall pay him each day's wages before sundown on the day itself, since he is poor and looks forward to them. Otherwise he will cry to the Lord against you, and you will be held guilty. Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children for their fathers. Only for his own guilt shall a man be put to death. You shall not violate the rights of the alien or of the orphan, nor take the clothing of a widow as a pledge. For remember, you were once slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God ransomed you from there. That is why I command you to observe this rule. When you reap the harvest in your field and overlook a sheaf there, you shall not go back and get it. Let it be for the alien, the orphan, or the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all your undertakings. So if you are harvesting your fields and you miss a spot, leave the vegetables, the fruit, whatever it is there, because it allows people less fortunate to glean the fields. That means maybe it's a widow, a woman whose husband died, and she can't have her own fields. So she might, and because she's poor, she might go glean somebody else's field and take what she can carry to feed herself, maybe her children. He's saying, leave a little bit. If you missed a spot, if you are wealthy enough to have all your own fields, if you are well-to-do, and you miss a spot, that's okay. When you knock down the fruit of your olive trees, you shall not go over the branches a second time. Let what remains for the alien, the orphan, and the widow. When you pick your grapes, you shall not go over the vineyard a second time. Let what remains be for the alien, the orphan, and the widow. For remember that you were once slaves in Egypt, and that is why I command you to observe this rule. So again, it's if you have enough and you have extra, leave it for somebody who doesn't have enough. So yeah, we're going to stop there. It's a little short this week, but that's okay. So we'll stop there. Anyway, I hope you have a great week. Let us bow our heads, close our eyes, and say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right. I will see you next Sunday. Have a great week. Bye-bye.